Boys, welcome to the stream. A common phrase in the gaming Twitch community, a seemingly harmless one, but surprisingly can have unknowing negative effects. Hi, I'm Tony. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how the male-sided language used in gaming, specifically the Minecraft community, contributes to the normalization of men being seen as the default gender and why that is harmful. I will be covering everything from assuming every Bed Wars player is a guy to knowingly attacking women who play video games and why that's harmful. So, if you think I'm some crazy feminazi, stick around to understand what this video is actually about. Disclaimer, no, I'm not going to be saying assuming every Bed Wars player is a guy in your head makes you some sexist pig that deserves to rot and die. I'm not saying the phrase, boys welcome to the stream, is something that only the devil would speak. I'm just saying be open-minded when watching the video, because I'm not going to be asking anything of anyone except suggesting mindfulness. Also, be sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts on the video. I love reading new opinions, just try your best to not be bigoted. Don't forget to subscribe as well. So, when I say men are seen as the default gender, what do I really mean by that? And is it even true? Well, try and think about your own life for a second. You've probably noticed that, for example, male pronouns far outstrip female ones in everyday use. If you're referring to a dog across the street, most everyone would use he, him by default. Everything from toilet signs to cartoon characters has the male gender shown as neutral and unmarked, or even unkempt, while the female gender is represented with bows, skirts, ribbons, or unnecessarily sexy poses, because to media, women have no worth unless they are pretty. Just, think of a stickman, for example. Is it male or female? Well, it's gender neutral, yet if you were forced to decide whether it was a man or woman, very few would ever assume it to be a woman unless a bow or ponytail was added. Why is it that we call women actors and actresses, but it's obscene to call a man an actress? It's because actress is seen as a subpar term for the subpar gender. Even in schools, your textbooks of evolution and diagrams of early humans interacting are almost always male. And if they are female, they're normally there to represent birth and motherhood, not to just be normal humans. Even the default profile pictures on apps are assumed to be male conforming. Imagine if when you got on TikTok, your profile picture was a grayish character but with boobs. Most people would probably be very confused and question if they accidentally selected something that made their profile picture look more feminine. To a guy, that would be really weird, but girls have to deal with that constantly. To have the slim possibility of someone referring to you as a girl online by default, you'd have to shower your bio with feminine things and add starry clouds in your username to get a chance at the correct assumption. I mean, we even refer to humanity as man, but if we were to say the sentence for the greater good of woman instead of the greater good of man, it would be seen as exclusive to women and only women. Also, although no sex in an ideal world is above the other, I'd also like to point out that biologically and scientifically in terms of sex, not gender, XX chromosomes, women's chromosomes, are the real literal default. Some organisms are all women because they're adapted enough to reproduce asexually on their own terms, while there is no male organism that can do that. Historically, women are the default sex, if we're talking in terms of biology, that is. Yet, men are still constantly painted as the default, which proves that people have been conditioned to believe men are the default gender with external factors such as social culture, language, and media. I'm going to be going over the language and media aspects of that involves gaming and how that influences that mindset. I'm pretty sure that's enough examples for you to wrap your head around what my main point is going to be based off of. I'll get to why men being seen as the default gender is really negative and problematic further down the video. What the hell does this have to do with the image involving Minecraft in the thumbnail? Well, I'm pointing out that the language and assumptions we make in the gaming community, whether you're addressing your stream or raging at a Skywars player, contributes to this. Again, you are not being a sexist beast for doing anything I'm about to say, but try and work on it. I'm telling you a problem, and you as a respectful human should be willing to work on it. The first thing on the list is pronouns. Most every single person who streams Minecraft, for example, assumes every other person to go by he, him pronouns. If you don't believe me, just watch YouTuber Technoblade's old Bed Wars streams. You'd be surprised. There's a constant subconscious default, which is nobody's fault except the big guys, that Minecraft players are going to be boys if you meet one. I mean, for my boys watching, can you even fathom what it's like to be assumed to be a girl in every situation that doesn't show your face? I can barely fathom what it's like to be correctly gendered by my Bed Wars team. And before you bring up that my name is Tony, I was misgendered as a guy just as much when my usernames were pretty gender neutral and feminine. I mean, people aren't always assuming though. Sometimes they recognize a girl's skin on a feminine username, but they still refer to them as he, hims instead of they or she in the heat of the gaming moment, which is fine. But the fact that their automatic gamer heat moment causes them to fall straight to the assumption of male proves my point even more that we subconsciously defaultize men. The other example I'm going to be using is, well, the title. Boys, welcome to the stream. It's kind of the same thing. Think about it. Streamer after streamer after streamer addresses their, most of the time, predominantly female or non-binary audiences as boys. And please, before I see you writing in the comments, boys is a gender-neutral term. Babes, I read the word. The word is literally boys. I mean, honestly, that alone isn't an issue. I personally don't feel too out of place when my comfort streamer calls me a boy. But the reason this isn't the greatest thing is because if a streamer addressed their entire audience as girls, it would sound weird. It would be looked down upon, and they'd probably get called some feminazi or a cringe girly gamer copying the boys. It becomes damaging and puts boys above girls when addressing your stream as girls is stigmatized and seen as quite literally specific to girls. I mean, it's even worse for our non-binary pals. Why would it be so incredibly weird if someone were to open their stream with, "Non-binaries, welcome to the stream"? Well, it's because we've defaultized men, putting them above the other large amount of genders. Well, it's just slang. It's just some cool kid language. Yes, exactly. That's the problem. Cool kid language has undertones of misogyny, and because it favors men. It's normalized, and it normalizes sexist jokes and mindsets among young teenagers. Like, calling people sis and honey is gay and girly and prissy, but the same could not be said about bro or dude. It's the gaming language that we use that can impact kids who grow up with video games and have the mindset that men are, in general, default and therefore above. Okay, but so what if men are seen as the default gender? It's just annoying to women, but who cares about their feelings? There's no systemic oppression involved with that idiot feminazi snowflake. Okay, so how is all this negative? Yes, society paints men as the default and kind of puts them above women and non-binaries, but so what? I'm a man who lacks empathy, so if anything, that just gives me a benefit and is not really harmless. Well, here's what. First off, it reinforces men being above women. This affects real female workers with careers and job paths. People see women as the second option and lesser option to pick from, which contributes to men getting promoted more often. Also, in the medical field, it's a fact that women have higher fatality rates when it comes to heart attacks and heart diseases in general. Why? Well, it's because doctors, instead of studying female health and anatomy and their responses to heart attacks, study male responses and symptoms and apply that same research to women, even though there's two different responses. Biological men, who, might I add, have higher chances of receiving heart attacks, yet lower fatality rates, and women both have completely different reactions and symptoms to heart attacks. The reason women die more often than men to them is because doctors simply don't realize there's a difference in responses. They apply the same research that goes to men but to women, which literally kills women. They assume men are the default gender and therefore women fall under their category of their symptoms. And don't get me started on lack of film representation. Women are barely the heroes or protagonists unless they exist to empower women, or they make the women annoying / birth circulated, or have no free time, or kill them off, or just anything like that. There's never any normal show or movie in big industries, or at least much fewer that aren't circulated on their womenness, portray feminism correctly, and portray women as just normal human beings. And of course those movies are great, but can we get representation of women being normal people instead of sexy, unrealistically body-typed, kinda sexist, quote-unquote feminist, weak intern by day, weak hero by night that either rules the world or only becomes powerful with a man's help? The lack of women characters in the film industries causes actresses to struggle to the top to just make barely as much money as male actresses, see what I did there, make. On a much larger scale with smaller consequences, this gives the mindset to most people that video games are a boy thing and Minecraft is not for girls. If girls do play Minecraft, they're not that great at it, and men are still the default Minecraft players. Well, okay, but teen boys do play video games way more than teen girls who rarely ever play video games, so it's easier to assume that way. Wrong. This is actually proven false by a recent study done by the nonpartisan, which means unbiased, research center called Pew Media and Technology Research Center. They ran a survey which reported that 83%, that is a huge percent, of teen girls play video games, while 97% of teen boys are gamers. Now, of course, I do recognize that difference in numbers, but it's not a large enough difference at all in any way to refer to every player you meet online as a he. Now again, to my viewers that use common male-based gaming language, I'm not saying you're the reason for mass unemployment of female actresses. God, leave me alone. It's more like a huge system, like a pyramid or building blocks, and gaming language being at the bottom of the pyramid. It slowly rises as you go further up, finally reaching women dying from heart attacks. That's how culture and defaultees, like men being the default gender, spiral. Now on to you, the viewer. If I made you feel attacked or called you out at any point in the video, don't. But also use that as motivation to help yourself be better. It's totally okay that you've been assuming genders to be male in almost anyone you meet online. Everyone does that. It's because you have that instinct in your head, especially with everyone else reinforcing it. But now that I've told you, there's no harm in working to fix that subconscious male being the norm thought. I've told you now how that language can be detrimental. Obviously, I can't force anything on you, but I presented my evidence and now you know that it's harmful. So it's up to you on whether you want to knowingly, unignorantly refer to everyone as a he, or you can continue moving away from that mindset and try to start calling everyone a they or something. Same amount of syllables, harms no one, and is easy to get the hang of. It's a really small thing you could do that could take a big step forward. Again, now that you know the problem, you are a part of the problem if you willingly keep reinforcing everything I've said, or will continue to call everyone a he just in defiance to prove whatever. That's your decision. Make the right one. I'm barely asking anything. I mean, that's pretty much everything. Language in the gaming community can be underlyingly men preferring, but I'm bringing light to that issue. It was an observation of mine, as all of my videos are. Please consider my words, and as always, I really hope that you left with a new perspective and an open mind. Don't forget to eat, drink water, and get some sleep. Again, my name's Tony. Please comment your thoughts and go hecking subscribe.